All right, I'm going to do my best to show you how to do this hem stitch to finish off the top of your tapestry. I'm going to show here, I've already done it at the bottom, so I'm going to show you how to do it at the top, and then you'll just flip your tapestry over to do the same thing on the bottom. Okay, so I'm actually going to start by pulling this out. Can you believe it? We've reached the end of our journey with our knitting needle. And in this case, we're going to actually work from left to right, so that's different from what we've done before. We're going to keep our tapestry on the loom, and we're going to start by picking up our whole tapestry, turning it over, and we're going to have like 5 widths of, you're going to use your warping yarn for this. I'm using black so that you can see the technique better. You'll use the same warping yarn that we've been using. Okay, so here we are on the back of the tapestry. Again, here's the front. I'm starting with the left corner. So I'm gonna flip this over just for a moment, because what I need to do is I need to thread up the back of a few of these strands of weft that are created by this the warping yarn used to create weft. That's gonna like tuck in my tail. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and then I'll pick it up and show it closer. Okay, you can actually see that pretty well. Okay, so I'm using my needle. This is a little fiddly. If you have, if your tension is just so tight that there's no way your needle's gonna slide in here, you could go one weft over to the next one, and that might be a little looser. Okay, so I'm through those 4. Okay, that's right. I'm just going to close up so you can see I've gone through those last 4 wefts. I'm just going to carefully slide this needle through. I'm just going to leave a tail. So again, all I'm doing that for is to tack down this tail, and then I can press this weft back down. So now when I flip it over, let me go back through. So I'm on my outside edge. Again, you're doing this with your white warping yarn. I'm just doing it with the black to show you the technique. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is, here I am on the outside on the left side, and I'm going to wrap around from right to left, front to back, these first 2 warp yarns. I'm going to wrap around. Here I go. That is 1. I'm going to pull them together nice and snug. Then I'm going to go back behind here again. This is where it gets a little tricky. So I'm going to go back here. Here I am. I'm now on the back. And I'm going to come up. Let me show you close up. So I've gone around my first 2 warp threads. I need to come up between the 2nd and 3rd, but instead of coming up in this hole, I'm actually going to come down, and I'm going to peek up through underneath 2 warp threads. If you're like, oh gosh, I don't know, just hang on, stick with me. It's going to look real messy at first. And then I'm going to pull this snug, and I want to just come up here and tighten this up from the beginning. Okay, and now you can see I've got this nice snug wrap. Now it's going to look weird for a little bit, so just hang with me. Now from here, I'm down underneath these 2 wefts that are just to the left of that 3rd warp thread. I'm going to go from front to back, wrap around these next 2 warp threads nice and snug. I'm going to go back to the back again. But now from back here, I'm going to come up between the 4th and 5th warp thread, underneath 2 wefts, and pull that tight. I'm going to come up here and make sure it's pulled tight from the bottom. Okay, now at this point it's looking weird, so I'm just going to do a couple real quick so I can show you how the pattern looks. Again, this will be with your warping yarn, so it's not going to be that visible. So I'm wrapping around. I'm going from right to left, from front to back, back up to the front, then to the back. And you can actually, well, I'll just pull it all the way through. Pull it all the way through. And then from the back, I'm going to now come up between the 6th and 7th warp threads and pull it nice and snug. And do one more, and then I think so around from front to back, full wrap, nice and snug, back through the back. I'm going to come up between, now I'm between the 8th and 9th, under 2 wefts. I'm trying to do this from the front now because I think it'll save me a little time, but it is pretty fiddly. Once you have 3, well, I guess this is technically 4, you can see how this pattern is starting to look, how it's creating like an angled line and then a nice tight wrap around. And from the back, you can see it's nice and tidy too. So you're going to continue that all the way across, keeping it nice and snug, and then at the very end, you'll tuck it back through the last weft threads on that final warp thread on the right.